Well, so I think one of the biggest things is that it's provided me with a few classes that are just a fun and different environment than the rest of the classrooms. I like that there's generally not traditional assignments or essays or homework. I really like the independence in the classrooms, and I think that especially C++ kind of helped me build a more independent work ethic in school, and I think that's very valuable. I also think that the classes are just really valuable as an alternative to a traditional classroom. They just work differently. It's a lot more independently oriented, and I like being able to see the actual impact and importance of the work that I'm doing in the class. I think more than anything, it's given me an understanding of how important computers are in the world, uh, especially seeing from the classes that we each have an ability to manipulate computers. I find that to be very powerful, especially given how computerized the world has become. So in my future plans, for example, when looking at universities, one thing that I was looking for in engineering departments is their awareness of the importance of computer science. It's made me aware of that, and it's made me uh, aware that I need to have that skill very sharp to be successful in a STEM field in the world. Uh, that's what it's done there. I think that there are two things that really set them apart. The first is how independent the classes are. There's a lot less direct instruction from the teacher. We learn a lot of the material on our own, of course, with videos made by the teachers. And the teacher-student interaction is a lot more uh, like mentorship and guidance based. It's about answering our questions and the things that we need help with, and I like that a lot. The other thing is that the scheduling and deadlines are a little bit more independent than in other classes. In some cases, that's very liberating because you can prioritize as you need to. In some cases, it can be a problem when, like for example, in my first year of CS classes, often didn't have the discipline to prioritize what I needed to when. And I ended up abusing the freedom and getting into some tough situations. But I learned, and I think it gave me an opportunity to learn a lot of valuable lessons there. The second difference that I think is the most important one is that in these classes, there's a lot less of what I consider to be fluff. The learning is a little bit less in, I guess, reverence of the material. There's not this idea that we need to learn this material because it in itself is important. It's about what the subject can do in our lives, and I really value that this absolute pragmatism that what we are learning in this classroom is about what you're going to do with it later, and that's a connection that we very rarely see in our other classes, and I like that a lot. So I, I think it was in Java. One of the last projects of the year was the traveling salesman. I was very proud of accomplishing that project because I have, for basically all of my life, been notoriously bad at brain teaser puzzles. And the traveling salesman felt like the grandmother of all brain teaser puzzles. It was mind-bending to do, and I think it was really cool to see that I'd over the year gained the skills not only to try and solve the puzzle, but to actually articulate it in code so that a computer could do it for me. You know, strangely enough, I would say that coding isn't really one of them, just because I haven't kept up in practice and I don't think I've learned to the depth that I want to, but I'm going to continue to pursue it. The most valuable skill I've learned is to be persistent in problem solving. In a lot of other classes, we learn problem solving, for example, in math, but in no other class does it bug out on you the way it does in computer science. And I think the most valuable lesson I've learned is to have a lot of faith and trust in my own skills and to keep on applying them over and over and over until I solve the problem. That kind of grit is something that is actually been provided uniquely by these classes in my high school career.